Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about our choice pick, well, my choice pick for the country of Uruguay. We have Rubén Rada and the album title La Yapla Mata. Today I have my guest here, Andrew, who chose the country, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he thought. So first, um, why don't you give us a little bit of background for yourself, the music you're into, and whatever else you want to share?
Course. Hello, my name's Andrew. I love music of all kinds. I love world music. I love popular music. And as you can tell, I'm big on the classic rock scene. Led Zeppelin is my absolute favorite group. But yeah, it's that passion for classic rock that kind of like helped me get into different kinds of classic rock genres, psychedelic, uh, progressive. And I kind of toyed around with that definition, like rock and roll. What is rock and roll? And with that, I seeped into rap, jazz, because rock and roll spirit is a cool form of expression that's new, it's cutting edge, and yeah, I see a lot of that in today's music, and I I've always stayed true to that. It's maybe it goes by pop music, maybe it goes by country, maybe hip hop, but it's all rock and roll to me, and I love rock and roll.
Um, so why don't you tell me why did you pick Uruguay?
Sure. So my ancestors, like my lineage goes back to Mexico and Uruguay. Since it's so close uh, to my country, I just figured, it'd be such a cool treat to better understand a neighbor of mine and just get a taste of their music, get a taste of their culture. And what better way to do that than listening to their music? And listening to this album, I think that was a very great decision. This is a really cool, really cool elements, a lot of fusion, a lot of just uh, regional, local scenes, and mixing that with some jazz, mixing that with some otherworldly influences. It's always great when different cultures like unite and somehow make something truly unique and special. That amalgamation shows a lot of unity, and you hear that in every note, in every song here.
Yeah, speaking of like the neighboring influences, Uruguay in general has a really awesome music scene. I haven't gotten to deep dive, but one thing they do very well is jazz fusion or progressive rock. And maybe that's just because I keep looking for albums like that, but not every country has so many excellent artists that put out good jazz fusion and progressive rock. Uruguay just happens to be one of those countries that does it well. I also think that this album in particular just has a lot of mixed influences. You hear an influence of Brazilian music, you hear the rhythms in it. You have like a funky groove, that's the American in it. Certainly, it's hard to really know what is uniquely um, what the traditional Uruguay sound is without knowing its history. But I feel like we get a taste of uh, some of that from this album, but it is difficult to separate from all the other influences. But again, when it comes to music, you can make it traditional, you can make it something novel. Ultimately, the music's just got to be good, and I think this album does that. So, I forgot. Did I send you that list of questions?
You did, yes,
All
yeah.
right. What else was on that list? Because I can't remember.
I should think. All good.
I
Okay.
want you to interview yourself for me.
Of course, of course. So, listening to this album, it was a range of emotions. It was just a range of like cool elements. A lot of that goes to like the genre mixing that it delves into. Like you said, it has that Brazilian like a lot of bossa nova kind of like that free form. And the songs that it had like range from like really really fast paced, really just high tempo, action packed, like the intro song, Flecha Verde, which directly translates to Green Arrow, but it's funny because they also say like Robin Hood often. Uh, honestly, re really similar characters, but it brings up like an emotional aspect about just like that vigilante, that kind of like law breaking, but for the greater good. And it kind of made me think a little bit because it was around that time when Uruguay had just gotten out of a military dictatorship. So maybe uh, Rada was evoking a lot of that kind of a lot of history. So it's really interesting. It's cool how it peeps into that type of a history. Uh, a lot of that is also echoed in maybe my favorite track, Madre Salsa, and just how it describes a lot of like motherhood, like how Rada's mother influenced him in just sayings and just like behavior, like attitudes. It's a really endearing, a really heartfelt ode to that, and you can hear a lot of those traces in these tracks. And I also think it's kind of funny how he ends the track with just like on a funnier side, that emotion, just like heartfelt jest with a I believe it was running away with a girl, like as a date, like a one night fling of sorts. It's funny how he can balance that and make it punctual in that way. But yeah, there's a lot of other slower tempo songs. He brings up race relations in one line of it. I think I wrote it down. Te parece, it seems. And there's a line in here that says it translates to white people and their routines. He doesn't, they don't understand that the faith they insist upon the population, specifically black people, and how it exterminates their folklore, their culture. So it's that angst, it's that uh really just like frustration. And you can hear it in his voice, you can hear that satisfaction with that really like almost uh foreshadowing to this day and like very, very solid, just like question why? ¿Por qué? So yeah, there's a lot of emotions going on in this album that I think is really, really cool.
A lot of emotions. And I think, you touched on it briefly, but this album, despite its context coming out of a military dictatorship, despite the sensitivity, the seriousness of the topics he's addressing, he interlaces the album with a lot of humor too. Like with the song Robin Hood, or when he's talking about Robin Hood, I mean, he really presents it like it's like dun dun dun. It's like a superhero, like an old, like the original Batman cartoon. That's kind of the,
Mhm.
the scene that plays in my head when I heard that song. But then he's also got a song called Las Manzanas, and I,
Mhm.
I, it helps that
Yeah.
it helps that that you speak the language. But to me, all I hear is apples. Yeah,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
just sounds very lighthearted. So, um, yeah, I think Rubén Rada is a very intelligent musician, lyrically and in terms of songwriting. Um, Yeah. What other questions did I have you write?
Yeah. Yeah, it's how did this album make me feel? Oh wait, no, what did it remind me of? It reminds me of like I don't know if you've heard of them. They're kind of also a world band. They're called Lamp. They're from Japan and they equally a very, very diverse group. They borrow a lot from bossa nova, indie, pop, uh I forget, I think it's called city music out in Japan. City
City
pop.
pop,
City
the
pop.
genre of music that's kind of like disco-y.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. City pop.
And it's hearing that and like obviously knowing Lamp before Ruben Rada is it kind of reminded me of that group, just like in terms of like that diversity, the up-temponess, just like how you hear these compositions and like it always seems unpredictable. It's like navigating a maze, but like in like a fun way. Like you never know what you're gonna get. You never know like where it's gonna take you. So it's like it's kind of puts you on the edge of your feet at times. But yeah, it definitely reminds me of Lamp, the group, where it comes from.
Mhm.
Uh, I see some traces of like Zappa simply because of the fusion aspect. Like I think Frank Zappa is like so you can't talk about jazz fusion without talking about Frank Zappa
Oh,
and
for sure,
this
for sure.
this album has tons of it, tons of fusion of not just jazz but just so many like other other music genres.
Yeah.
That's that's what it reminded me of. Uh, I definitely try to want to get more into jazz fusion myself, and this was a really cool gateway to get into it. But something that it also reminded me of, just like memories, imagery, like the song Las Manzanas,
Mhm.
which is kind of interesting because correct me if I'm wrong, this is a re-recording because I think it came out in 1969 originally.
It might have been. I think he had an album in '69 that had the same song, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just like that. It's like such a playful song, such a fun song. Like you hear it and it just brightens your day. Like it says apples in the morning are at their tastiest, red ones, green ones, just like all the like. It's it takes me back to when I was a kid. There's a lot of songs like I listened to back in the day that were just like so of Spanish like speaking origin that they were honestly so playful and they're so inseparable for like the parties I'd go to when I was young, just like being with my family and they would like have that blasting over the speakers. Like it it takes me back, even though like I couldn't say that I know too much about Uruguay's culture. I think that just like being able to resonate with that, like the a similar upbringing of just lightheartedness, I think is a really powerful thing, and I identify with that a lot. I identify with that. It's really, really cool.
For sure. That's why I picked it. That's the goal with music. It's to evoke that feeling of belonging. And I'm glad that this album did that for you. Uh, but Andrew, I want to thank you for coming on onto this channel and sharing your opinion. Um, any final thoughts?
It's an album that I look forward to re-listening to often. If I can, definitely try to get it on the vinyl. I got a nice turntable I'm trying to patch up right now, and I can see that like right there in my collection. And yeah, just like getting a taste of a really cool culture, of a really cool place was a was really nice. Was really nice, and uh, you've inspired me to try to explore the world more, if not in person, then at least through the art of their sound, through their voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of owning this album as a collector's item, I think the album art is also really cool. Definitely one of those albums that you'd put on the wall instead of in a on a shelf where no one can see. Uh but that's just me. I thought it was cool. Um
Definitely.
but all right, Andrew, thanks for coming. And for the viewers at home, or wherever you're watching this from, I don't care if you like or comment or subscribe, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again. Bye bye.